Hello, everybody. My name is Starry, and welcome to another podcast discussion on the Starry Panel. I am joined by three of my good friends here.
Hello, I'm Will.
Hi, I'm Ethan.
Hey, I'm Andrew.
And our topic of discussion today will be about how we feel about school. So, how does everyone feel about school? You like it or you hate it?
Love it. It's awesome.
It's awesome.
School's
pretty
kind of
great.
a mixed bag for me. Sometimes I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and other times it's just like I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
I get that.
Depends on the class for me. Like, a lot of times, I guess I enjoy learning, and I've always enjoyed learning for things that I'm passionate about, like engineering or math or anything like that. So, classes where I get to learn more about that and gain experience in that field appeal to me a lot more than, like, where I'm writing essays about pieces of literature that I may or may not care about. Like, I can enjoy writing, like, don't get me wrong, but if I'm going to be writing and I'm really going to, like, write a good work, it has to be something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah. So, obviously, I'm kind of the same way. I enjoy learning. I have a natural curiosity to attain knowledge, but it's mostly on the things that I'm actually passionate about. I find that if it's a class that I'm actually interested in, I find that I enjoy my time much more than if I were to sit through like a math class, which is something that I probably am not, it's not my forte.
I,
Forte.
I can totally see that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. What's the most recent math class you've taken, just out of curiosity?
Um, Computer science. I think it's kind of like a combination of trigonometry and calculus.
Oh, nice. Definitely cool stuff. Calc
Yes.
is fun and trig is very fun, at least in my opinion. I like calc. Calc was like, the thing about this is kind of a side tangent, but the thing about calculus is a lot of people fear it and, like, they're really worried about it. But honestly, it's not the calculus that's hard. It's really just algebra. Like, if you can really just nail those algebraic concepts,
Yeah.
it makes learning calculus so much easier.
Yeah, I think it has a reputation for being infamous. The name calculus, so that's why whenever people hear it, it's intimidating. But they don't
Yeah,
realize that it's actually just a way of compiling everything that you've learned in Algebra 1 and 2 and then
yeah,
making
and
use
then
of it.
yeah, and taking it to a new level. Which, I mean, it does have a learning curve and a lot, like, it's not always easy, but if you get through algebra 1 and 2 at a good level, there's no reason why you can't do calculus. I mean, I think,
Absolutely.
and a lot of people make the complaint, why am I learning this? I'm never going to need this. That may be true, but the
Yeah.
process that you're using to learn those concepts is good. Because, I mean, learning in any regard is good. But when you're learning how to do math, you're using logic, and that's really good for your brain, and not just in, like, a math sense, just in general. That's It's a really healthy exercise. So yeah, you might not use the concepts, and even if you don't remember it, you still gave your brain good practice, and you put yourself through something hard. You went through a hardship that you might not have gotten through otherwise.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I have to be honest, when I was in high school, I obviously hated math. I loathed it. Because I'm not the most practical person. Naturally, I'm a more artistic person. I tend to like literature and being creative, and when it comes to being formalistic and being confined within the barriers of math, like you have to solve the problems in a certain way, it just didn't appeal to me. But I find that as I've graduated, math is actually, like what Ethan said, it's a great way to practice being logical in real life.
Yeah,
I think the main reason I have such mixed opinions on school is like because I really enjoy the process of learning and being in that sort of environment,
Hmm.
but I just more so have problems with the way that school is run, in that you don't really have much freedom in what you want to do.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Like a recent example for me was I was trying to get out of a decent amount of my classes that I'm in right now just because I don't enjoy them at all.
Right.
Like
Yes. Yes.
they're just classes that
Like core
I'm
classes.
taking. Yeah, like living on your own. It's not really a class that I necessarily need. Like most of the stuff that we're going through, I've already learned, experienced, and it's something that like should be taken as a freshman and not necessarily as a senior. You know?
Yeah. Some of the timing is kind of off, I feel. The thing that I don't like about school, like you said, Will, is the fact that everything's too systemized and that
Yeah,
sometimes like you can't, like for instance, I remember when I was in high school, like I am a person that really likes literature. Like I like it. I That's my talent, writing. That's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. But I, even like a person like myself, I didn't enjoy having English classes like all 4 years of my high school. I just find that to be very unnecessary. And you don't get to make that choice because that's how the system is designed.
yeah. I remember this year I as well. I was trying to get out of my college writing course, and I'm fine with it now. But like when I was first like getting into it, it was very hard to transition, and what like I was trying to get out of it,
Hmm.
but the office told me that it wasn't possible to switch, and that they weren't doing switches for any classes.
Which is a
And
lie, because they will.
yeah, and it's just really unfortunate that that happened. I was forced into this class when I would have much preferred something close to like British literature or creative writing.
Yeah,
That interests me much more than just writing essays for the sake of writing essays.
Hmm.
exactly. I mean, that's the thing, like I said, the reason why I didn't enjoy a lot of the literature classes that I was forced to take as part of my 4 year English curriculum in high school was because they were forcing us to read stories like that are ancient, like Shakespeare, like I feel like I could fall asleep, seriously. And it's just like I don't really have an interest in hearing what a person like 800 years ago has to say about like certain things. Like Romeo and Juliet, like I didn't, I know every school is required to read that, but honestly, like for me, I just really didn't care for it. I thought it was too overdramatic.
I remember some of my like teachers were like, "Oh yeah, every story has like a hidden meaning behind it. Like you read the sentence, it has a hidden meaning behind it." Like I didn't really get that part.
I I think that you definitely like a lot of books and literature can have that hidden meaning, but when you
Oh.
try to force it like that, it's like not everything has this deep like
Yeah.
hidden. Sometimes you have to take things for surface level, and that's almost just as valuable as like looking into something like in a deep way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, because when you have people analyze literature in a classroom setting, like you're essentially forcing them to try to take things to a deeper level when sometimes, like you said, even things should be taken at a surface level.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I didn't enjoy my English classes in high school, even though I love writing. But, Will, like, I got into creative writing that class, and I think that was my favorite class in my 4 years of high school.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Yeah, it just seems like it would be such a more enjoyable class to me personally.
Right, because
And
it's the name. You're allowed to be creative.
yeah, and another class that I have issue with the way it's run
Hmm.
is math. And like last year, I really really enjoyed math. And it was purely because of my teacher.
What was your
He
subject?
It was algebra 2,
Okay.
and he was a great teacher. He would always be willing to help, always just trying to like explain it in different ways so that you could understand it better. Always allowing you to do it your own way if you found a way that works for you. But my current teacher is not like that at all. He presents it in one way and wants you to do it that way. And that is just not compatible with how I am, you know?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
that actually reminded me of what I was about to say earlier. Um, all right, I guess I could start by saying like the reason I like math, um, is there's one set answer, right? You're working toward there's a definite answer. Well, like, kind of, I mean, like if you get to indefinite, but that's not the point. All right, the point is like there's going to be a definite answer or a number that you're going to get to at the end of it. Whereas like other subjects, it's not that simple, right? There's like multiple answers. There's multiple correct answers.
Yeah,
I
like
like
writing
that
an
there's a
essay.
definite. Yeah, there's one way that I know if I do the problem and I do it right, I'll get the answer. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of just yeah. Wow. I had a way that I was gonna relate that to Will's, but I guess I'm forgetting everything today. I'm sorry.
That's
Oh,
fine.
that's fine.
Yeah, it's probably because, like you said, that's why you enjoy math a little bit more because I feel like you're a more logical person.
Yeah. Well, oh, I got it. So even though like you can do it multiple ways, you could still get the same answer. That's what I was gonna say. That like just like Will said, there are multiple ways to do it, and you have to embrace that because like you're still gonna get to the same answer as long
Sure.
as it's a correct method. There we go. Thank you. We're getting there. We're piecing it together, like bit by bit.
Piece by piece.
It's just one big puzzle.
My my cluttered and scattered thoughts.
Yeah, but
Organized.
like Will was saying, sometimes like your high school experience can be marked by just the luck of the draw, like what teachers you happen to have and or get assigned to. Because like sometimes like if you get assigned to a good teacher, you might find a lot of enjoyment out of that class, and if they're willing to work with you individually, that's even better. But then there are some teachers who have their specific ways of doing things which might not align with the interests of these students.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
mostly it sorry Ethan, but mostly they say that you have to do it this specific way because that's the way that you do it in college. But that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, like
Like,
how do they know
there-
which one, like which college you're going off to?
yes, exactly. Like most of the things that teachers say, they say, "Oh, it's for the sake of college," but not every college is the same.
That's just an
Not every.
excuse, honestly, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I think so as well. It's just irresponsible
Right.
teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's kind of why I've never liked doing school, is because I felt like it's not individualized enough. Like, it's not tailored to your own, like, methods of doing things, I mean, like, you've probably heard this phrase before, but, like, everybody learns differently. And so sometimes, like, having a teacher run an entire classroom her way or his way or whatever, like, it's not individualized enough.
Yeah.
How do you
Totally
guys
agree.
feel about like tutoring sessions or like, student like a tutoring club?
I think that's always a good option. I think that it definitely helps if there's a student that's been through the course the year prior. I think that's the best case scenario. One, that information's fresh in their mind, but two, sometimes it's good to learn from a teacher, but other times learning from one another and like among yourselves
Mhm.
is almost as effective. There's classes that I've got, like physics, for example, where there's a lot that you have to do on your own. Like the learning is not handed to you. The material's handed to you, and it's up to you whether or not you figure it out.
You
It's
have to put
not
your work
taught.
into it.
Yeah, and like the teacher, like is a good teacher. I know a lot of people disagree with me with that, and the reason I think she's good is it teaches self I guess discipline. You have to learn how to teach yourself. Like you're not always going to be learning in the best environment, and that's the sad reality of it. It shouldn't be that way, but sometimes it is.
Yeah.
And having this self-taught method may not have been enjoyable for the duration of the class, but I think it's overall I've come out better for it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Um, but with tutoring, I just feel personally, sometimes, like you said, Ethan, it's good to have another student kind of take on and teach and communicate the material because in a way you relate to them more because they're kind of
Yeah.
the same age. That's the thing. Sometimes like teachers tend to be like of an older generation and there might be a little bit of a disconnect there, especially if it's like subjects that have variable opinions like social studies, history, or literature.
Yeah.
I also think that tutoring is very helpful for not just the person that you're teaching, but also for yourself if you're the tutor.
Oh
because
yes.
Oh yeah.
it definitely like refreshes your mind, keeps you thinking about older material, and just overall helps you be a more knowledgeable and like person and just be able to explain things better
Yeah,
to other people.
absolutely. Because like I'm currently like I've been a teaching assistant for like a year now, basically. And basically that's allowed me to take like two, or I should say retake two courses that I took in college for free. In
Yeah,
fact, I'm
Wow.
getting paid for it actually. Come to think about it. But yeah, it's like what you said, it allows you to go through the courses again and to reinforce that material so that you have a better, like a more deeper understanding and grasp of the material.
yeah, it's just a really helpful process the whole way.
hmm You know, one of the things that I do want to talk about is how do you guys feel about like timing in terms of school? Like when I say timing, I'm saying like when you take exams, there's like a time limit.
Oh.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like there shouldn't be a time limit.
So I understand the concept behind it because it's you can't just give infinite time for something like that. You do have to have a set schedule. I'm That's probably the single most stressful part about AP tests this year is for calc and physics. We get to use our calculators for the entire thing, and they're around two problems long. However, the time that we're given is like 25 to 30 minutes per problem, I think. Or no, for the entire thing. So that's around 15 minutes for each problem, which has multiple segments. It's definitely puts the pressure on, and I think if that pressure rubs you the wrong way, it really can screw you over. So I'm just hoping that that's not gonna be the case for me in a couple weeks.
Well, the thing is, even like, I mean, I've always been a slow test taker, so I've never enjoyed like test taking because of the time limit. It's just like I feel like I don't have enough time to explain my thoughts or to, like, show more detail.
Yeah,
And in real life, frankly, this kind of pressure I don't think in most cases is applicable or present.
yeah. Well, there definitely is pressure depending on the field. Maybe not the same pressure. I agree with you there. You're not going to be in the workforce. You're not going to be sitting down and you know have given 45 minutes to get something done. That's pretty unrealistic.
Right, I mean, like, you have deadlines, obviously, but, like, it's reasonable. Like, it's like it works for your life. Everybody has, to live a life. They have other things to do besides just working. So it's like, I don't know, like, in a testing situation, it seems like it's solely focused on doing that, and it's just not a realistic scenario in real life.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely increases stress levels too, which it depends on which type of classes you take and like what you allow to stress you out. I put myself through a lot of stress um, through like the activities I was in, like robotics work in school,
Oh, yeah.
and in a lot of ways I regret that because I think I lost a lot of enjoyment. But I think I've probably come out better for it. I've
Well, you're more efficient, probably. Or you're more
Yeah,
organized. Like, it's better
well,
time management skills, I guess. That's the thing that you can gain from it.
well, I'm not sure about time management skills because I can get kind of good at procrastinating. That's a very difficult trap to fall out of or
Yeah.
to get out of. But it's definitely helped me manage lesser stress better, I guess. So like smaller instances of stress, I've been able to handle better
Yeah.
because I had more practice with
Yeah.
higher stress levels.
Back to the time test thing. I haven't had too much issue with timing in like math classes, but like when I'm writing like an in-class essay, in-class essays are almost impossible for me to fully write an essay within 45 or minutes or an hour. It's
Yeah.
just not something I can do.
Right.
And I'm more than likely I'm not going to finish the essay and it's going to be pretty poorly written.
Because you need time to conceptualize and you need time to go back and revise the way you phrase things, in order to make a good piece of writing.
Yeah, and
I've,
like most of the time it's also on just pen and paper and it's very difficult for me to write quickly
yeah,
for that long of a time because like about halfway through my hand starts to get like really cramped up. It's just it's really painful sometimes to just continue writing.
Oh, I
And that
agree.
adds to even more stress. during in-class writings, and I'm not sure it should be really a thing at all.
No, it definitely should not, in my honest opinion. I mean, it's one of the gripes that I have with school, and a particular reason why I didn't enjoy high school.
Yeah, it's just I can't see any benefits to it really.
It is one of those things where it's like, is there really a need for this? I mean, there's a lot of things that people say that about school. Like, oh, do we really need this or do we really need that? A lot of
No.
times the answer is a maybe, right? It's a pretty inconclusive thing because should you be forcing people to take that? Maybe, maybe not. Like I said with the whole, it's teaching you better thought processes thing.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah. Hey Will,
Yeah,
do you remember that one? What is it? The one homework where I added like this music video.
yeah.
I got points taken away because there were inappropriate lyrics.
Sorry about that, Andrew.
No, it's fine. It was only like 5 points, but like I thought it was funny anyways.
What were you like? Who were you like taking after for the music video?
It was a video of Tupac.
Oh, okay. But his
So
stuff is pretty deep.
yeah,
Like,
but
it's not my.
it's
It might not be the
sometimes
most formally
pretty
said and
vocal or
like
vulgar.
appropriate for children, but
Okay. Should I actually like just write? But it has a deeper meaning to it.
Maybe you could try.
Mm. I don't care. I don't care.
yeah, it's just
I,
grades.
I,
Honestly,
I got a B, and it's like a test grade, so whatever.
hey, honestly, like a B's better than most people.
It's good enough. Not that I really care, anyways.
yeah.
Because I'm passing.
Speaking about that, like grades, how do you guys feel about quantifying intelligence?
you mean like in the like a curve sense or just
Like this common perception that people have is like if you get good grades, like you're automatically like intelligent and more intelligent and like whatever. Like
oh,
that's
I
how they
got you.
glorify valedictorians.
So
I would say they are more intelligent in case of the effort that they put in to actually like study and
I
get the better grades.
I can kind of elaborate on that. And the way I look at it is there are in higher level classes you have different types of people. You have people that are naturally intelligent, people that are book smart,
Yeah.
and sometimes there is a lot of, I guess, prejudice against people who are one or the other. Um, it's I don't think that kind of stigma is a good thing. I don't think that anyone that's naturally intelligent should shame anybody that's book smart. And I've seen it happen, and it's just really gross to watch because, I mean, even though they don't have that natural talent for it, they're still putting in their best effort, and that's all. I think that's just as admirable. If you're
Right.
I mean, you might have to work harder for it,
I
but
mean, I can
you're
attest to it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah, it's just sad to see. I mean, it does happen a lot. I mean, just because you're in super or like higher level classes doesn't mean you're like a genius or anything,
Oh no.
but you're still putting in hard work, really good work that's going to benefit your future. And if you're in that class at all, I think it's an honor, and it really says something about either your work ethic or your intelligence. And
Right.
in some cases, I think like I wish that I was more book smart because that maybe I would have a higher motivation to do things. Things wouldn't come as easy, and maybe
Right.
I would have a better work ethic and be better for it. I mean, I'm not saying that obviously, I'm trying not to contradict what I said earlier, but I think it's an amazing thing to be either.
You have a great point, Ethan. It's definitely. I think that this kind of stigma, or I should say, this kind of common perception is very unhealthy, especially among like high school students. In general, when they're still developing, they don't quite understand. They think like, if you get like perfect scores or like you're a valedictorian, like you're perfect. Like, no, you're not. Like, you might not have common sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I just think that it's utterly ridiculous to try to like use scores, especially like a number, to quantify
Right.
intelligence. I just think that's because everybody is going to have their dumb moments in life, and everyone's going to have their genius moments in life. It's just it's variable among everyone. So,
And it depends what you're being tested on too. There's people that are intelligent in different ways.
oh yeah, it's like
That's a
some
huge
things
part.
like you might be a lot better or more talented than this person in one area, but then like they have their own strengths where they are superior to you in other ways.
Yeah.
Another thing is like on Skyward, you could check your grades at any time. You could also check your class ranking, like among your grade. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, a healthy thing for
Yeah,
students to be able to see, because
Yeah,
like
that
knowing that you're like lower than average, like in terms of like grading, I it just like
it,
puts a lot of like unnecessarily like stress
yeah.
or like a competitive like edge to something that should frankly just be for learning and not trying to compare yourself to others.
Right, I wish everybody would stop trying to make like a comparison, like who's smarter or who's not. Like seriously, I mean, like nobody gives a, F. But it's like you're saying, Will. Basically, it's that having that kind of score being visible, like where you can see your class rank. Frankly, it could be very demotivating and discouraging to a lot of people.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and
Well,
for someone who's like, who says like maybe they're top five or whatever, they might think like, oh, they have like they can walk around the school like they're better than everybody else, and I think that's wrong.
yeah. And you would think that no one would ever do that. I mean, I've seen it. It happens. There are people that throw that around and try to prove their worth by that. And I don't know. I feel like if you're trying to prove your worth in that manner, then you've got a few other issues. I mean, I think that
Sad.
yeah. I mean, nobody's better than anyone else. I mean, you might be better in certain areas, but at the end of the day, we're all human. And depending on like, I don't know, no matter what you believe, like it
Right.
doesn't matter. We're all just chugging towards the same goal of not catching the virus.
Being
Good one.
productive.
It's very,
Yeah.
very, very current. But yeah, I remember when I was in high school, one of the reasons why I didn't particularly enjoy it was because I was always, taking AP classes, and I felt like a lot of the people didn't necessarily have respect for one another because they were too busy trying to compare themselves with each other and trying to outcompete each other. And it's just, all they would ever talk about is, oh, I want to get into like Harvard or Yale or whatever. Like, I mean, it's just stop. Like, I mean, are you even enjoying your life, honestly? You're putting all these hours and work just to be valedictorian for 15 seconds and give a speech?
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you there. Like, I can understand that like throwing it around to other people's um faces is wrong. But if that's their goal and that's what they want to work towards, then I don't know. I guess I just don't criticize it. Like,
Yeah.
it may not be something worthwhile in my eyes or your eyes, but if it's worth it in their eyes, then I think it's worth it for them.
As long as it's motivating them in a positive manner and not just stressing them out to the point of like exhaustion, I
Yeah.
don't think it's necessarily a problem.
Or
Yes.
maybe like as long as like they keep it to themselves and they like do it for themselves because that's why you go to school. You go to school for yourself. You don't go to school for your friend.
Yeah.
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 Not bragging rights or like yeah. If it's pure intentions, then I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah, as long as you don't like shove it down people's faces or like, put down other people for the fact that they're not as good as you are or whatever. Like I just think that's the main thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to contradict myself, but I just find like being valedictorian, I guess, is a way to be recognized for your efforts, because it does take a lot of effort in order to be valedictorian. I mean, to be number one in your class. I mean, I'm not going to say that it doesn't take any effort whatsoever, but at the same time, I feel like other people might have worked really hard as well and they just weren't as good as you were. So I feel like they deserve to be recognized as well. It's something that should be shared with people.
Yeah. I think that maybe just having one single person out of like the like 350 people in your grade be the valedictorian, I feel like that's maybe a bit unfair to
Yeah.
the people who have worked maybe even harder than the person who obtained that position.
Oh yeah, yeah, but they just weren't as lucky, or they didn't hit all the right signs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm not trying to contradict myself. I know that's been said a couple times, but um, some competition can be good as long as it's healthy competition. And I think the competition for valedictorian can be a good thing. Um,
Well, it depends who's representing, but yeah.
yeah, like as long as your intention, like it goes back to intentions, but competition naturally encourages greatness, um, as long as it's healthy. So I mean, I don't think that all competition should be ruined because I think competition is what makes us great. That's what's, I mean, we're not just challenging ourselves, but when we challenge each other, both sides come out with something great, and that's knowledge of what you've like achieved and wisdom on the past, on like on how you've existed, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm really not collecting my thoughts very well today.
No, that's fine, even. Um, but anyway, another part of high school that I remember very fondly was the fact that I believe across the nation, all high schools require their students to take or be involved in PE, which is physical education, or some activity to that equivalent for all 4 years of their high school.
So there are ways around that.
Like
The
equivalent, yeah, that's why I said
it,
equivalent.
yeah, the way I was able to escape physical education was they had a testing out program where you had to run a 60 on the pacer after doing I think a 6 minute mile, and it was probably one of the hardest runs of my life. And I
Did
had
you
to do
make
it
it?
2 years in a row. I did make it both years. By the
Awesome.
like, just like the very very like last bit of my energy was used up as I finished it.
Yeah, my
But
time is like plus 10 for you. 10 minutes.
yeah, I mean, I think it is worth it. It was worth it academically. I could take more classes that would benefit me, but it also PE is fun and it's a good way to take out frustration. You know, you're getting your
Yeah.
body moving, and exercise helps the mind. And
Wait,
I've lacked that in the past few years. Yes,
so you have to do a 6 mile run and then a 60 like pacer, like a
you have
60s
A
you have to do
mile.
score.
a mile in 6 minutes and then a 60 on the pacer right after.
Oh, okay. That's
6
that's
miles.
that's easy then.
Well, I wouldn't call that easy, but
Well, not easy. That would be like
doable.
Dude,
doable.
my time for a mile was like 17 minutes. So there was like
That's,
no way I would ever be able to test out a PE if I were to go back to high school even now.
I probably wouldn't have been able to test out, but I wouldn't have really wanted to either, because one of my favorite classes from this year was strength and conditioning, and that's just a
Hmm.
class where like built around like weightlifting as well as some cardio occasionally, and that's just one of my favorite classes just because like
Mhm.
I don't know, I've always enjoyed weightlifting. It's something that like it allows you to take out a lot of frustration
Yeah.
in like
Yeah,
things that are going on,
it's really
and
fun
like
when you can throw the weights at people.
it and
Well, yeah.
you just get to you also just get to like become a better version of yourself, I believe, just because like you're able to do a lot more and you're not limited by your own strength.
I mean, that's to incorporate physical activity into this daily schedule. I think that's the main reason why, like, this order is in effect for the entire nation, that all like kids in high school have to remain active. I mean, yeah, I think it was a good one. It was a good choice.
I think that is also a good thing.
It's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like recess from elementary school. Although I
Oh,
I miss recess.
recess.
Recess was so
Yeah.
much fun.
We stopped
Foursquare.
having it after like middle school.
I know. I don't know why they stopped doing it. I think that recess is awesome. It's just you can do whatever you want to. You can like socialize. You could. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess recess is not as vigorous or organized as a PE course, which is why they probably transitioned from it to official PE courses as students transition into high school. I mean, like some people just like sit on swings, which is not the most
Yeah,
active thing, but it's relaxing.
yeah, helps. You know, just separate classes, I suppose. Just give you a little break.
I
Yeah,
remember middle school during recess we would crap, what was that game called? It was like with these four
it's
squares.
It's
Foursquare.
called Foursquare.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, that thing.
I know, like me and a bunch of like my friends from elementary school. I mean, I wonder how they're doing now, but like we used to play Foursquare all the time, and it was like we called ourselves like the champions, and like we were like, each square was like the king and the queen, and then the squire, and then the knight, I believe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun time. We would make up rules like with Foursquare, like no lines or whatever, and like
Oh yeah,
curveballs and
what was that like M&M and Skittles crap? I could never get that.
yeah, what was that?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
It's
It
a,
was
it's a
like
rule in Foursquare that a lot of people
yeah,
abide to, but
Huh.
it usually goes like wasn't it like the king has to like say something or like he starts off first or whatnot.
yeah, I think the king says like stand on the corner or like gather in the middle or like walk on lines or something.
Huh. That's strange.
Well, have you played Foursquare?
Yeah, I used to play it all the time.
We should definitely do it again now that we're all adults.
Adult Foursquare.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess that pretty much sums up our thoughts on school in general. So thank you to all you for such a wonderful discussion on school, and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you like what you're seeing, and join us as we continue to make more podcast discussions out of the most random things you can probably think of. So, until next time, this is Starry signing off.
Bye.